Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. Today I'm going to be working on something that I've had in mind to do for quite some time and that I sort of planned to do as a bit of a special video when I got to 2,000 subscribers. Well, 2,000 subscribers is a bit past now and I haven't got it done. So I thought I'd better get it at least started. Now I say started because at this stage I don't know whether I'm going to get this done in one video or whether I will have to make it run over into two. It's one of those. But I suppose until I begin, I won't know. So we are going to be making a kitchen cabinet. Now it's not just any kitchen cabinet. This is something that, from what I can gather, there are variations of around the world, and the idea is it's the kitchen inner cabinet. It was the sort of furniture that filled a gap between when a kitchen really was just all individual pieces and when we started having fitted kitchens. I was reminded of this piece of furniture way back when Bentley House Minis made the Uza cabinet, which is the very American version of it, which had a bit of everything for the kitchen in one piece. And I thought, I remember that kind of piece of furniture, which in the incarnation that I remember was from the 50s, possibly early 60s, but I don't remember it until the 80s. And it was a kitchen cabinet which had cabinets, drawers, a piece that folded down to form a worktop, and lots of little storagey bits inside it. And so I went on a searching rabbit hole journey, and I found lots of examples, but not quite what I remembered. And then I did. I found something that's very similar, and that is what I'm basing my make today on. And hopefully as I go along it will start to come together, because at the moment it's just some random pictures off the internet, some random memories in my head, and a vague idea. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I am going to be using my favourite material, the cereal box, for this build. Now I've got two identical cereal boxes here. I'm starting with two. I normally only start with one, but I know I'm going to have to at least double up the thickness of material on this, if not in some places reinforce it with extra. And certainly for the outside, anything that's going to be visible, I want to use the same material, because it makes it easier when it comes to painting and finishing, because you've got the same stuff to start with. So I've got two. Hopefully that is going to give me enough material. I do hope so. And aside from that, the other thing that I want, that I've got in here somewhere, is some clear packaging, flat clear packaging. I'm going to need a piece of that, but that's going to be later on, so I'm not going to worry about that at this stage. Beyond that, I don't think I'm actually going to need a lot in the way of materials. So this is going to be quite a simple, she says, build in terms of what you need. That and glue, and obviously paint or whatever. But yeah, my first step is going to be to figure out how big I want it to be. Now, I haven't found a example on the internet with sizes. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go off one particular picture I found, which shows it as being a particular height in relation to a door frame. So I'm going to use that, try and figure out how tall that would be, and see how it goes. I have stuck the parts together and I have made the basic box of my cabinet, and that's what it is at the moment. It's a box. It's missing a top. If you look at it that way, I mean, obviously it will go that way. You'll be looking at the actual top of it there, but there it is. Now, this in 1/12 scale would equate to 6 foot tall. I've got Grandmama, who equates to about 5.5 feet. If you are a regular viewer of my channel, you'll recognise Grandmama. She's still awaiting her witchy makeover. She will get one day, but she equates to about 5.5 feet. And if you pull her, that's if you pull her skirt up and actually put her to her feet. But you can see, yeah, sort of works. Now, as I've said, this is probably not going to go into my doll's house, although it would work in there. I'm probably going to turn it into a diorama, sort of leaning towards putting it into like a corner diorama at the moment, but I'm not sure. It's just one of these things. I want to make it, so I'm going to make it. Now, obviously, my box has got to be divided up before I can put the front on. Now, the originals are divided up into 3 sections roughly. The bottom section, which is cupboards and drawers, some combination thereof. Great, that's fairly easy to figure out. And then the centre third is the drop down section, which gives you the work surface that comes out. This is the one that I'm probably going to use Grandmama to just make sure I get the heights about right for an average sort of a person, so it actually looks like it would be usable. And in there can be shelves, there can be little cubbies. I've seen some with another drawer inside for something like your silverware, your cutlery. And then at the top there is another cupboard area, normally with some kind of glass on there to make it a bit more of a feature. The one I'm trying to replicate as frosted glass doors that slide. That's going to be fun to try and replicate in miniature, but we shall see. And again, there would be a shelf in there. There'd probably be shelves in the bottom cupboard. So lots of interior bits to get to. So with that in mind, I have actually started making some interior shelves. Now, for the shelves that are going to divide the main sections, I've gone for a starting size of 3 inches by 1.5 inches, because I want them to come out, because they are going to provide support for my front pieces. Now, they do need trimming downward. The back piece was 3 by 6, so once you've added these on the side, you have to take a small amount off. I just measure it afterwards. Now, if I put this one in, it's not quite perfect. It's not in the right position. I've not measured it or anything, but you can see that is going to start straight away giving my structure more rigidity. That was something I was worried about, because obviously it's not very thick. Even 2 layers of cereal box material is not very thick. So I will have my main shelves, and if I put this one up here, so it sort of divides it up, and from here I can tell that's not particularly level. And then I've started playing about with what the interior shelves, because they're going to be different depths. This one is not the full depth. Put it along there, you can see. So it won't interfere. If I put this in here, again, this hasn't been trimmed down, so it's going to push everything out, so I can't push it all the way in. It's going to give me a little bit of clearance for doing my sliding doors. And that's where I'm at. I'm going to start fiddling about with my interior layout. But so far, so good. And I'm still liking the idea, which is definitely a bonus. I'm actually thinking I'm going to have cupboard, drawers, open section, and then a cupboard at the top. I think. Could change. You never know. I have fitted in my shelves and divided it up, and now it looks like a box with bits in it. Obviously now I've got my top bit, which is going to have my glass doors on. I've got a section here that I'm going to cover up and have faux drawers. I've got my opening section in the middle, and then I've got a cupboard here at the bottom, which is going to have probably one door that will actually be open. I'm looking along those lines because I want to have the drop section open, and I'm going to have that door fixed open. Working with the cereal box, I'm not looking at hinging anything. So I'm actually going to be looking at sticking things into place and dressing the piece appropriately. So that's where I'm at the moment. I am now going to get some glue and go over all of the edges to reinforce them. And then I can start looking at creating my front. I don't think it's going to be too difficult, hopefully. And yeah, I'm liking what I've got so far. I have started with the paint job on this. I have put a coat of white paint on the interior bits that are going to be in some way visible, and I've started putting white paint on the outside as well. The back's only had one coat so far. It will have another coat, but for the moment I'm happy. You can actually hopefully see the difference between the creamier colour of the cardboard material inside the bits that are going to be covered and the white, and I'm liking it. Now I have also put in a little fake floor in the bottom because I realised that I wanted the door to be off the ground as it would have been in the real piece, so I had to put a false floor in. It was just done in the same way as all the other shelves, and then it was onto the front. Now I made a template of my front, and my template is really simple, just to make it as easy as possible for me. And I'm going to have an open door at the bottom. I'm going to have the open drop down bit, and then I'm going to have the sliding glass at the top, which I've got to figure out how I'm going to do. That I'm not 100% sure on. So what I've done is I copied that onto a piece of the doubled up cereal box, and I cut out the bits that I need cutting out. Now I'm just going to roughly line it up on here. It does fit a bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare all this basically before it gets attached. So I'm going to paint it white, and then I'm going to stick on the coloured doors, drawer front, drop down piece, etc. So what I've got here, just off camera, is I've got the pieces that I've been making, starting to prepare, and I can so far start putting it together as if it was a closed piece. If you wanted to make this as a closed piece, obviously you wouldn't need the drawers, the shelves inside. You wouldn't need the holes that I've made, because you just do a box and stick the bits on the front and it'd look quite acceptable. But I don't want to do that, so I'm going to, as I say, stick that piece open, stick that piece open. That piece is going to just be a false drawer front. That's going to be my false drawer front, and I think it's going to work out quite nicely. So I'm going to go off and do some more painting. This has got to be painted white. These, I've got to decide on the colour. I'm leaning towards a blue colour. I've got to go and look at my paint and see what I've got. See if I've got anything ready mixed, because obviously ready mixed paint does make my life a bit easier. And then I can start putting it together and obviously try and figure out how I'm going to do sliding glass panels at the top. I started work on the front of the cabinet and I got rather carried away, to be fair. I wasn't sure which colourway I was going to go for. Now, I've seen a lot of these that have been renovated and they've gone for a sort of modern two-tone grey, that kind of thing, but I didn't want that. I wanted something that sort of kept the original vibe. Now, a lot of them were yellow. I was leaning towards blue, but I hadn't got the right blue paint. And then I spotted the turquoise. Now, I had got this paint, which is called Lagoon, which is a turquoise, but it was far too dark. So I mixed it with some very light blue. Now, this is called Sky Blue, but it was far, far too light, far lighter than the label on it. And it just wouldn't have looked right on its own. So I mixed the two together and I made my lighter sort of turquoise tone. And I really like it. And it is all done with the turquoise. And obviously then I wanted to start putting the doors on to try and reinforce this piece, because this piece isn't very strong. So I put the drawer front on. I put the fake door down here at the bottom. With the what would be almost like a chopping board, it would be your actual worktop surface on the inside of here. I actually used the piece that I cut out from the top and I trimmed it down a bit, painted it white and then stuck it on, and that's made that nice and fairly sturdy, and it's glued into place pretty well. The same can be said for the door. Now, I do want to add some faux hinges when I find my metal tape. I've got that lovely silver metal tape. I'm going to use some tiny bits of that just to sort of reinforce it a bit. And I also need to put some kind of struts. They normally add little braces that lock into place across there. I need to put something to replicate that. Again, I'm not sure what I'm going to use for that. I don't want them to be that thick, so I am considering, and they're going to fit diagonally along there, just to give it a little bit more detail and hopefully, you know, add to the finished piece. The handles that I spotted on this version, which is very much the sort of early 60s version, tended to be round, but round with a bit that you put your finger into to open them, not grasp hold of. And I've tried to replicate that with a degree of success using punched circles. I have got little piles of punched circles, and then on the top I have got one that has got a circle punched out of it. Now, there's a really easy way to do this, and that is to punch the small circle first and then line up your bigger circle over the top. Punch that out. They're not brilliant because my one punch, the bigger of the two punches that I used, is a bit on the rough side. I've tried sharpening it with foil and it hasn't done much, so it may need replacing, but I think they'll do. And then my sliding glass doors. Now, I don't know how well you can actually see on that there is actually some texture to it. I think the lights are going to be reflecting on it too well. What I've got is another piece of the plastic that I used, which is just some plastic packaging. And what I did is I cut them to size and I punched the smaller holes straight into the plastic. And then on what would be the reverse side, I put a coat of matte Mod Podge. But I did it as rough as I could. I used a really stiff brush because I wanted the brush lines. I wanted it to get that look. And hopefully you can see this, especially here where it's actually compared against the clear, uncoated material. You can see how it looks. It does give a bit of an approximation of frosted glass. And I think it will do for this scale. I'm sure there's better ways of doing it, but I was trying to do it with what I got, and matte Mod Podge it was. And then, obviously, once that was dry, and I'll turn this over, I stuck these into place, and I stuck the closed one in first, and then I stuck the other one over the top so it looks like it's partly open. And then you get that really obscured bit where they cover, and that would just overlap if they were both in the closed position, but I like it like this. So, and the little bit at the bottom is because some glue splattered, but I left it because actually it's going to add to the wear and tear, which will be important, I think, when I actually come to finish this piece off. With the front fitted onto the back, and I say fitted, it's actually placed, because until I fill this, I don't want to stick the front on. So it's going to have to sit like this for a while because I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to dress it. But I think it looks good. I think I've done what I wanted to do. You know, I've got a piece here that is very reflective of this sort of piece that started off as a very modern idea, the idea of a kitchen in a cabinet, and developed through into my lifetime as being something that was very much used in single room accommodation. The bed sits of the 80s and 90s were still using these. A bed sit, for anybody not in the UK, is a studio apartment, but a studio apartment sounds better than what most of these bed sits were, which was literally a single room in a divided up house that might have a laughable kitchenette, a single ring, and maybe a little tiny refrigerator, and something like this if you were lucky. So yeah, and I'm actually leaning towards using the piece of something of that sort of age, of sort of 80s, 90s, kind of end of life, realistically, because by that time we were well and truly into fitted kitchens, and these were outdated and a bit, yeah, all that. But I'm not 100% sure yet, and that's going to involve me making a little miniature scene of some description. And I've got lots of ideas, but I think I need to put this aside for now and actually focus on trying to finish something else. So, yeah, here we have my vintage, retro, however you want to describe it, kitchen in a cabinet. And I like it. I hope you've enjoyed it, and it's inspired you to maybe think about making your own pieces, things that you remember, or not so much remember, but have noted and thought, oh, I'd love one of those in miniature. If it's boxy, it's actually fairly easy. If you can make a box, which isn't difficult, you know, the detail in this is all on the front, the back is a box. And as I said, if you weren't going to leave anything open, as I have done here, it would be so much easier. You can make an entire kitchen fairly simply. If you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you have, please like, comment and subscribe. It all helps my channel. And maybe ring that notification bell, because then YouTube may let you know when I put up another video. I don't know. Is it working? I'm not sure. I can't really tell, but I know that notifications I get for other channels can be a bit hit and miss. So all I can say is it's the best option we've got. And until next time, bye.